Hello, if you didn't know, on this standard access, when you pull 260 times, we get exclusive access and you can pick one of these 6 dolls. And if you already did know, but you don't know which one to pick, let's narrow it down by going through all of them. First, Tololo. She's a single target burst, mainly does hitter damage and you can get extra action. As you can see in this passive, you can only get extra action if you have Confactance index at maximum, which is 6, and then you get buffs like all these target attack, critical rate, phase boost, and piercing for 2 turns. You can generate these points, these Confactance indexes, with your abilities. So the second ability generates 2, third one is 2 or 1 depending on the situation, like if you have buffs, and then with your ultimate you can get only 1 point, and maybe if you have some buffer that gives you Confactance index, you can get this every second turn, just like extra action. And I guess she's gonna be more useful in boss fights later. I don't think there's PvP, so if you prefer single target damage and then you want some other type than physical, this is the option. Not the best option. Okay, next. Second, Kevin Jiu. So she mainly does burn damage, but she also does sustained damage assisting with her passive, and it's physical. You can apply a buff with your ultimate, like damage up and vulnerable to enemy, and every time ally attack, if they're within range, you can also assist and attack the enemy. I think the range is the same as like a normal attack, the first one, which should be 8. And then with the second ability and third ability, you just apply a lot of overburn. And this in combination with Ololo, right, for the boss fight or like a single target could be really nice. And also other targets that are mainly attacking and not like supporting. Like if you have 2 supports, then she's kinda useless. But if you have 4 characters that keep attacking every turn, then you get more value out of her. So this depends on your team. It could be better than Tololo if you have full damaging team that constantly attacks, right, without supports. Okay, next. Sabrina. So she's like a defense support. It has a lot to do with reactions and counterattacks. So if ally is within a range, she applies shelter, which is stability protection, and when she generates enough of Confactance index, she applies this dump area, which also reduces healing by 40%. Her ultimate is buff, which also provides shelter, and feeling full is a damage buff, which is 25% of her own defense to all the allies. And also whenever ally gets attacked, she counterattacks. With first and second skill, she does AoE hydro damage. So this is not very useful in boss fights, but more like in PvE when you have 5 or 10 enemies and then they're just attacking and you have all your team kinda together, and she can just counterattack and protect everyone. So decent pick. Vapri. So she's kinda like AoE, does physical damage and focuses on slowing down the enemies. So depending on the attacks, whenever she does, she gets 1 point of Confactance index and slows down the enemies. If they already have movement, like a debuff, she can apply movement denied when stopping them in place. Also, she has a lot of debuffs on the ultimate. She can apply debuff this overzealous, which increases damage from her, and she also applies vulnerable if she hits multiple enemies, which is like 20% increased damage. And if it hits only 1 target, it's a stun. And also a second ability deals damage, and it's like 100% critical if a target has a movement debuff, and if not, protected by covered, clear 2 debuffs. And also this first skill does AoE damage and it can destroy covers and stuff. Okay, so it's like a decent AoE pick. I think there's better one coming. Peritia, so this is what I was talking about. Her passive is basically reacting and doing action support for every AoE damage done by the allies, and also does stability damage and gains confectance index points, and she can do this like 10 times per turn, so she can just in team full of AoE damage dealers, she's the best. I think this is the pick that I'm going for. She also does corrosive damage, and look at this ultimate. All this is orange, right? All the enemies in this area are being done damage, so this AoE is huge, like the biggest in the game. I think for now I didn't see anything this big, and also like depending on how many targets are hit, you deal bonus damage. And this one is the physical, also AoE, and the first spell is also coercion, but AoE. So yeah, I think this is my pick, because in general, where you just go through the campaign, she's the best. Like AoE dealer, she just shreds everything, and in combination with AoE team, like unstoppable. Not for the boss fights though. Mosin Nagant, so she would be my second pick, and here's why. So her passive, there's a lot of effects happening here, but the main thing is that she applies paralysis. So out of all of this, like let's just skip, there's like a lot of effect. You can see that every of her abilities applies paralysis, which basically disables the enemy completely. They cannot use active skills and basic attacks. So I don't know if this works on bosses. I think absolutely not, because then she would be the best character in the game, right? Completely disable the boss, and then there is no PvP for now. Is there like PvP on level 50? I don't know. So in those scenarios, she completely disables one character and still does damage. So amazing character, but I don't think like she actually uses that paralysis effectively, because if you use it on some like random mob that like you can kill in one hit, it's like useless, right? And again, I don't know if this works on boss fights. If it does, amazing, right? So I don't have her, so I cannot test, but yeah, she would be second pick. So anyway, that sums it up. My pick would be Peritia, and then maybe the second pick, Mosinagan, but again, depends if the paralysis works. If the paralysis doesn't work, then she's kinda useless. Then I would, I guess, go for Vapli or Tololo, which I already have. So yeah, Peritia, number one pick. Okay, that's it. See ya.